What's going on, guys? It's Adam P, and welcome back to more Newcastle United news. Apologies for not uploading a few days. I've had quite a lot going on behind the scenes, and it's during the international break anyway, so there's not too much going on. Chance to go away, I guess, take a couple of day break just to sort everything out. But now we're back, and of course, during the international break, that has been surprisingly positive for Newcastle. Whenever there was an international break, it is typical fashion for us to always come out with an injury, a suspension, or a player that's dropped off in form. And yet, Newcastle actually looks quite good going into a match against Brighton at the weekend, which historically is a fixture. We haven't won at Brighton away since the Championship. We have never, ever won at Brighton away in the Premier League, and we've only won against them once in our Premier League history. We just don't beat Brighton. They are such a bogey team for us. Can this week be the one where we finally get one over them? I feel like it has to be, especially how the start of the season been, because performance-wise, quite good, but we're just not picking up results. And we've got the 2-0 win against Forest. We're looking in better shape now. Have to start winning these games. This has always been a bogey team for Newcastle. You've got to start winning these matches. And we're drawing every single away match this season. No. We haven't scored a goal and we haven't conceded a goal in any of our Premier League away matches. I'm hoping for a bit more of an exciting game this weekend. Just before we get into things, if you guys are new around here, make sure you get down there, hit that subscribe button. Of course, Champions League is back next week, so make sure you are subscribed to this channel so you don't miss out. And then the upcoming videos, I've got all sorts planned going into the international break. And just talking through some of our players now, we have to start our Nick Woltemade once again has been able to deliver. And this was my biggest worry going into the international break, because he's been in amazing form for Newcastle. He's been, I would argue, ridiculed actually from his last national break, especially from the German media. In terms of Germany's national team, they've been awful. They haven't been good at all, and they had a lot of pressure going on them going into this break. And it was a huge opportunity for Nick Woltemade, a player who was declared by Newcastle at first. He won't be taking part at all. It was then reversed from Germany. So Germany then contacted Newcastle, were able to secure Nick Woltemade for the 2 games. Nick didn't score in his first game, but got a disallowed goal for VAR, and then was able to bag the decisive winner and his first ever international goal for Germany's senior team as they beat Northern Ireland 1-0. It was actually the decisive goal that won Germany the game as well. And I have to say, that's exactly the confidence he will want going back into Newcastle's team. And he scored now in 4 of his last 5 games. He's in very strong form. And this is a player I would argue is over-delivering for Newcastle, because he wasn't supposed to be a week-in, week-out striker. The Johan Wissa situation has forced Nick Woltemade to come into our team. And wow, he is exceeding expectations. He's had an unbelievable start at Newcastle. And I'm very pleased to see that he's coming back from Germany, not just injury-free, because I think that was the biggest concern for everyone, but also not in bad form either. I was a bit worried on a personal level that this German noise, the pressure of playing for the national team, might have got to him, and it hasn't. He's been able to get a huge goal for them against Northern Ireland. And speaking of strikers who are struggling at international level, I'm not going to deny it, I've been enjoying the Sweden downfall. I don't want to talk about him too much because, of course, he's not a Newcastle United player anymore. But 1 goal in 8 games. He is honking for Sweden, and he's honking for Liverpool as well. It's an unbelievable bad start for him. He's honking a world-class striker who was sought for the most expensive ever Premier League transfer fee. And I'm so happy so far. I'm not going to say much more because I just want to watch it behind the scenes and just to enjoy it in the moment. But I am praying for this guy's downfall. He doesn't deserve to do well at Liverpool. He hasn't earned the opportunity to do well there. He treated us like crap. But it is looking good for Bruno, because he was able to get back-to-back assists for Brazil. Identical assists as well, where he's actually playing the ball in between the centre-half, full-back, slots the ball in behind. And it's quite similar to the sort of goals that Almiron was scoring for Newcastle when he was still here, where Bruno was a lot further up the pitch, players an 8 for Brazil, just slotting the ball in behind every single time. And I feel like his area at Newcastle almost takes away some of that chemistry and some of that creativity that he has for Brazil, because he's not as attacking for Newcastle. He plays as a 6 for us, and while he is unbelievable, and while Newcastle's got an unbelievable midfield. I almost kind of wish we could have Bruno further up just because it would be a lot better for our attackers, and especially his passing range and behind it is by far the best I've seen in a long, long time. It's a bit of a shame that he has to be the sixth, but Eddie Howe had this problem at the start of last season because when we were trying to integrate Tonali into the team, it was Bruno further up, Tonali behind, it wasn't working, Newcastle weren't picking up results. Then switched it, Bruno further back, Tonali in front, and that's eventually been the midfield Newcastle was able to figure out and went on to win silverware and get Champions League football for this football club. So what Bruno does at Newcastle works as a six. He's an unbelievable captain, but I wish there was a way where he could be further up because, my God, his passing range has been superb for Brazil. And it actually reminds you how creative and how dynamic Bruno Guimaraes is as a player. It's a bit of a shame that he's not further up for Newcastle, but once again, he has impressed out in international duty. Him and Joelinton, of course, both been with the Brazilian national team. And yeah, I'm happy with how things have been. And just before we talk about news regarding Newcastle now, quite surprising reports that there's actually been pictures photographed inside the SkyTrain over in Thailand of Newcastle United players. Now, there has to be a purpose behind Newcastle United branding being put in public transport in Thailand. Of course, the obvious example would be a summer pre-season over there. However, especially with the World Cup on next summer, I'm a bit worried and I don't want us to do it. But could we be heading to Thailand at the end of the season? We've done this before, Australia a couple of years ago, just finished the Premier League season off. We failed to qualify for European football because Manchester United won the FA Cup. And all of our players had to jet off to Australia for 2 matches. You played one against Tottenham, you won on penalties. And then the under-21s played against Australian All-Stars. We lost 8-0 for crying out loud. We actually lost 8-0. You're talking us trying to expand our fan base, trying to globalise. For a lot of Newcastle United fans out there in Australia or New Zealand, that could have been their first ever game watching us play. They might not have made the Tottenham game. 8-0. 8-0 against the All-Star team. We didn't exactly show ourselves in a good light last time, and I'm a bit worried that Newcastle again might be potentially having an end-of-season tournament or a couple of matches once we finish the season off. And I think it makes sense, unfortunately, because of the World Cup on. So for players that are going to be taking part in the World Cup, give them a couple of light matches in a different country and then go straight off to the World Cup, and they don't get their break until after the World Cup anyway. So it kind of does line up. I'm hoping it's not because I can't be bothered with these end-of-season trips. I don't think it benefits the team. I think if you ask Eddie Howe and the players in the club, ideally, would you want to play matches after the season's finished? I don't think they would. We'll see what happens. My belief is that it's something related to next summer. Maybe it could be commercial related. It might be Newcastle just trying to sell shirts entirely. I don't know, but there has to be a purpose for the SkyTrain to be covered in Newcastle. My indication is that there will be something in Thailand next summer where most likely the club, the team will be heading there, I would imagine. We'll see what happens, see if I'm right in my prediction, but my early call, and that is what I believe. As for Sandro Tonali, of course, last week, he was speaking to Italian media pages and he stated that he wanted to return to Italy one day. Of course, that's long off in the future, but especially for Newcastle fans, after the summer we just had, I don't think you can blame any Newcastle fan. I might be a bit anxious or sceptical regarding Tonali potentially leaving the football club next summer. In my opinion, if you don't have Champions League football, you're always opening the door for a potential player exit of a quality like Tonali. If a team can afford them, they're going to knock on the door because he is that good, especially with Italian teams as well. Keep an eye on it. I'm not saying he's going to leave next summer, but if we don't get Champions League football, which you have to say is probably realistic, you're always going to have that problem. You're always going to have that potential possibility of losing a player. And Tonali himself has now added further comments saying that he's happy now. This is his home. He's happy in Newcastle. It almost seems, in my opinion, like a comment just to reassure Newcastle fans or a comment just to clarify on stuff that was said last week, and almost Tonali just adding a bit more into the paragraph just to make sure Newcastle fans are anxious and worried now. Got to say, Tonali, Bruno are the best I've seen in my lifetime, especially midfielders. My word. Newcastle, to be honest, actually, I've always kind of had decent midfielders. I've been going as a season ticket holder for 15 years now. I went during Caballas as much as disliked how things ended. Kabay was absolute quality for Newcastle. Even during the darker times, you had players like Sissoko who were good. Wijnaldum was good. Even the likes of Shelby Diarmi had very good spells for Newcastle. Now you go to Thailand and Bruno. It is just a whole different level. That's the ceiling, and that's Bruno and Tenardi. They are so far above the benchmark of players we've had at this football club. You have to try and keep a hold of the pair of them. You do not want to lose either of those. But going on topic of Tenardi, good comments from him. I'm happy with him. He's done unbelievably well here. I think Tenardi has to look for himself as well. You've got to remember, this guy who joined Newcastle and missed an entire year because of a gambling ban. Now, Tenardi's a quality player, and he's always a player with hard work and dedication. He can become an even better player. But I think Newcastle's helped him out a lot. I think Newcastle has done a lot of work for him. And Tenardi, yes, he has already repaid the club back because he won silverware and got Champions League football. But deep down, I think he does have to recognise that Newcastle's done quite a lot for him as well. So hopefully, a couple of great years out of him. We'll see what happens. And of course, the opportunity for him to go back at least always going to be there. But I'm hoping he gives Newcastle a lot more in terms of the future years, because I think we have done quite a lot for him as well. Have any of you guys ever seen Frank, by the way, on X? This guy is so funny. Now, you might have seen this before, but basically he's essentially like someone that pretends to be a journalist. It's hard to describe, but basically he just makes stuff up. And when I mean make stuff up, he makes quite outlandish stuff up. And yet, so many people believe it. And it's actually hilarious because you see people in the news, you see people actually go on radio stations and just talk about his stories. To give you an example, so this is from So out in South Korea. Puts a random post out saying that Matt Target was left in South Korea. Of course he wasn't, but so many people believe this to be true. And he's actually done it again during this international break, claiming that Joe Willock got lost in the York maze. Joe Willock hasn't been to York. I don't think he's ever been to York, but yeah, Frank decided to put that out there. And believe it or not, BBC Radio has actually quoted this live on air.
He was rescued from a York maze recently.
Oh.
Yeah, after a distress call was made to emergency services around 5 p.m. He was stuck in this maze for 6 hours.
No. Oh my God.
It's the UK's largest maze. So he went in as a little trip and he got lost within it.
Yeah, how an actual news company can fall for that is astonishing. Aren't they supposed to fact check before speaking and talking about stuff like that live, especially in an actual proper broadcast radio station? Mental. It's so funny. I just wanted to add this into the video because I don't know if all of you guys have seen it on X, but I have to say, one of my funniest and one of my favourite Newcastle United X pages out there. He just always sees debate people, and it's so good. He just gets them every time. Keep it up, Frank. Keep showing these people up because it's hilarious to watch as a Newcastle United fan. But in terms of news, it's about it, to be honest. It's getting through everything. It's just the international break, getting through the players that have been playing out. Of course, we play tonight, so I'm hoping the likes of Gordon can play well. And I'm hoping that our players can just get injury-free into what is going to be a huge week as soon as we get back. Of course, Benfica in the Champions League next week at St James's Park, which means the return of Jose Mourinho. Now, I'm a massive Mourinho fan. Mourinho, for me, is like that guy you wish was at Newcastle United, which has never happened. I think he's a bit past it now. Still is a good manager. He still will do a good job. But, yeah, you're never, ever picking him over Eddie Howe now, are you? And I think Jose Mourinho's best chance of being at Newcastle was actually under the Mike Ashley times. As bad as it was, I can't think of a feasible way that he comes into Newcastle now. It's just not going to happen. I don't think he'll ever join Newcastle. I don't think he'll ever work for Newcastle. It's going to be one of them stories where it's almost like a what if. What could have been if Mourinho was actually at Newcastle? And it's that story. It's a bit sad because, especially the Bobby Robson history, how much he loves Bobby Robson and the connection that Mourinho seems to have with Newcastle United because of that. Yeah, it feels a bit bizarre that he's never worked for Newcastle because it's almost like two things that were always meant to meet up, but it's just never happened. But yeah, looking forward to seeing him at St James's Park next week. But of course, that's next week. We're playing Brighton this weekend. Have to get a result down there. I'm sick of going to Brighton and us playing crap. I don't mind drawing the game if we play well. I'm not against the draw now. I would obviously want to win. I feel like Newcastle does need to win because we can't allow ourselves to keep drawing every single away game we play. We have to start winning some and just getting a bit of form going. Our performances, for the most part, have actually been quite good. Just a lack of results. Few draws in there you should have won. Hell, even the losses. You should have got a draw against Arsenal. You should have beat Liverpool. Even with 10 men, we were better than Liverpool. We just have to start putting results on paper. But I have to say, still been a good start for Newcastle. Still playing well. Just sort out that attack, and especially the out wide options. Got to start scoring goals from out wide. Hope you guys enjoyed watching anyway. Take care. Let me know your opinions down below. Wish you all the best, and we will see you all in the next one.